Hello humans, it's just Martine, and welcome to what may be the most chaotic reading vlog ever for week 3 of Whateverathon. In my last Whateverathon vlog, I got a blackout for the bingo board, which is super exciting. So this week, I thought as a little reward to myself, I'd do what I've been wanting to do for like a while now and just lose my mind reading wise. So see, I've got all these unread books around me. It's a problem. I've got all these ebooks in my library that I want to read. I've got all these ebooks in my Amazon account that I want to read. I just want to have read everything all at once. And there have been so many times in the past few weeks where I've looked at the stack of books, seen one book in particular and been like, I'm gonna read that right now. So this week, what are the rules? In the true spirit of Whateverathon, I'm reading whatever I want to read. That means I can stop in the middle of a chapter if I'm not feeling that chapter anymore for right then. That means I can pick up any new book I want. I may end this week with like 50 started books and none finished. We're just gonna have to see what happens. Where do I want to start this morning? Not with any of the books I'm currently in the middle of, but with starting Solitaire by Alice Oseman. I've been waiting to read this. It's been sitting across the room, staring at me. This morning is the time. Let the most chaotic week of reading ever begin.
They wrote a Sharpie on our hand last night.
It's approaching 1 p.m. and I wanted to update you because I've been reading a bit this morning. I'm on page 113 of Solitaire by Alice Oseman and I'm loving it so much. I don't know how Alice Oseman manages to write books that I love so much. Also, Tori is the kind of character that I think some people would write reviews complaining about, but that's why I love her. Also, Alice Oseman has said that she didn't know at the time what asexuality was, but that if she had, she would have used that to describe Tori. So we know I'm loving it. We stand. Like every Alice Oseman book I've ever read, I'm loving this and obsessed. And so a good start to the experiment because I just want to read this. So I'm going to read it more now that I'm home from errands and such. It's like 1:30. I'm officially halfway through Solitaire and I'm loving it so much. It will truly be shocking. Like something drastic is going to have to change in the second half for me not to give this 5 stars. Because even if nothing is happening in this book, I'm just like, yeah, this is great. I've laughed out loud several times. I've said quotes out loud because they just got me. I've even put one sticky note in. I never put sticky notes in when I like a quote. I either take a picture of it and forget all about the picture or like just leave it there forever. But I got out a sticky note. I love it. I just did a random color generator before I put this in for prompts and it gave me salmon range and I think I'm gonna count it. Maybe you disagree with me, but I am counting it. Here's the thing. I just finished Solitaire. I loved it. 5 stars. There was one moment about like 100 pages from the end where the pacing was getting a bit weird, but I think that's just because I was like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? It wasn't happening yet. So I was like, you know, waiting to get there. I can understand why a lot of people would not like this book. Personally, there are several things I loved about it. One, getting a different perspective on some of my favorite characters. Great. Like we see Nick and Charlie in a totally different context. Getting to see inside Tori's brain. Great. Also very interesting since I've read other Alice Oseman books and I've read some of her more recent ones. Reading this, which was her first one, was published when she was like 18, 19. It was just interesting to see. Again, there were moments I laughed. There were moments I gasped. I cared about the characters, and that's what matters to me in a book. Mostly, like that's the most important thing for me in a book. It was interesting learning about Tori. I still don't have her fully figured out from reading this, but I think that's just because she's such an interesting character. I love how Alice Oseman writes characters. This is a book about a sad girl, and I loved it. On my reshuffled bingo board, again, not really trying here, just marking off what we have. I marked off personal goal, I did hit a TikTok goal the other day, and 48-hour readathon because since entering my last book I still did participate in that sum, so I wanted to count it while I was remembering. I have the free space checked off, obviously. Recently hauled because I just got this month, so there's that. Blank color on the cover because of that clip I just showed you. I'm counting it as in the salmon range, and then one word title because Solitaire, it's one word. Love, love, love how Alice Oseman doesn't always just write love stories. Like the tagline of this is not a love story, and I love that. And yet also some of her other books have my favorite romances of all time, so it's like there's nothing she can't do. Onwards and upwards. Oh no, the book hangover. I can feel it. It's approaching 9 p.m. and I just finished The Dark Toad. That's not this whole book. It's the last like 100 pages of this copy of the book. It's a novella. It's book 1.5 in the Septimus Heap series, and I read this first one, Magic. I think I finished it in my last vlog. Yeah, so I liked the novella well enough. 3 stars. It was in here, which is why I read it. I used it for the prompts middle grade, less read genre because it's a fantasy, and also continue a series because it was 1.5. I don't intend to continue the rest of the series, but you know, here it is. So this is what my second bingo card is looking like. Shaping up pretty good. Although I have to say, it was already a stretch for me to get a host fave the first time, so like I don't anticipate getting a blackout maybe just from host fave alone, but we'll see what we can do. It's Tuesday morning. I'm out here staring at my stacks of unread books, going like, I don't know what to read. The book hangover is so real from Solitaire, but I refuse to go into a reading slump just because I love the book. So I'm just like looking at all of them, and I don't know what I want to read. The answer is nothing. I don't want to read anything. I'm gonna stare at the ceiling. I'm gonna read something. I just don't know what. It's hard because like I know I'm supposed to be reading whatever I want this week, but also it's like maybe I just need to force myself to read a couple pages of a book and that'll help. I'm struggling. Right, so funny story, pretty much as soon as I was like, I don't know what I want to read, blah, 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 I left for a kind of impromptu road trip because my sister needed some transportation. So my mom was like, well, I'm going to bring her, but then I'd have to drive back alone because she was dropping her off somewhere. So like, do you want to come so that I'm not alone? I'll be back. And I was like, yeah. So I brought several books with me and then I read like 10 pages and that's okay. I had a good time, but that means I'm home now. It's night. I've barely done any reading. I don't really feel like reading right now because I'm trying to upload a TikTok, and every time I upload a TikTok recently, the audio quality is like psyching me out. So I try to upload it again, except that I haven't been able to save the captions, and so I have to recaption everything, and it's a whole, I'm just in a bad mood in this moment. So I don't know what I'm gonna do about that, but maybe scream into the void or like listen to an angry song really, really loud and dance it out of my system, but that's where I'm at. It's Wednesday evening and I feel like a straight up disaster. I slept in way later than I wanted to today. Lost track of time several times today, doing things. I have laundry that I've needed to fold for like 3 days that I still haven't folded. Instead of reading right now, because I could turn on an audiobook and work on fixing things, but I don't want to think that hard. I'm just gonna turn on music and make myself fix it. It'll take like 15 minutes to fold my laundry and then I'll be free. Great, now that that's fixed, thanks for the accountability. I'm going to read some more of Sherlock Holmes. I started Valley of Fear, I think it was yesterday, but I don't think I told you that I started Valley of Fear. So I started Valley of Fear and I'm enjoying it a lot, and it's pretty much the only thing that I've read today. I have not read that much of it either, so it's not this whole thing. It's just, it's in here. This is a bind up. So I think I'm gonna eat a popsicle and read some of this and wait for Sherlock Holmes to blow my mind like he always does. Good morning. It's approaching 11:30. This morning I've been reading some of Valley of Fear and I have plans to finish it today. That would be super cool. I just went on a walk with my mom and the feels like is 104 right now. So I'm a bit of a sweaty mess. That's why my fan is on at full tilt. This is my like one goal for the day because I'm really enjoying this novel and I want to finish it. So yeah, that's it. That's it. I just finished The Valley of Fear by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I'm giving it 4 stars. I think it could have been a 5 stars if it hadn't like switched perspectives in the middle. Like it was still a really interesting ending and very well done, obviously, but I wanted to hear more from Sherlock Holmes. We only got Sherlock Holmes in like the first half of it. For prompts, I used it for TBR Veteran because that bind up has been on my shelf for like a while, so making more progress in it is good. The N of a and because The Valley of Fear, and it has 2 of them. Look at that. And then under 300 pages because it was like 162. Now this is what my second bingo board is looking like. Good times. Happy Friday. It's almost 1:30 p.m. and I just finished reading Cia Martinez in the Moonlit Beginning of Everything. I gave this 3 stars. I thought it was just okay. I mean, it was a confusing genre mashup. It was a YA contemporary mashed up with a sci-fi, which I feel like has been happening a lot nowadays, but I haven't really read any of them. So it was just kind of weird because it almost felt pacing-wise as if the first half of it was a YA contemporary and then the second half was a sci-fi. So like most of the plot of the YA contemporary part got smushed into the first bit, and then suddenly where there was no trace of this like alien stuff before necessarily, or maybe there was like small hints, suddenly it was like full on aliens are a thing, blah blah blah, which is not a spoiler because even though it happens half of the way through the book, it's said like in the synopsis of the book. So you just spend the whole first half being like, I thought there were going to be aliens. This book is about Cia Martinez. She's from a family of Hispanic immigrants, and a couple years ago her mom was deported and was said to go missing and to have died in the desert trying to get back home to them. So it's about her life and her friends and the complicated relationships in her town full of very racist people, and then all of a sudden a UFO crashes and her mom is in it. So it's a very weird book, but an overall interesting time. It was interesting because it kind of had the like, not the same vibe, but like a similar vibe writing style wise to Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, in the way that it had like really short chapters and stuff, and also they mentioned that book in this book, so I just thought that was funny. It's pretty good, and also for the Back to Kindle readathon, I'm using it for favorite cover because I think the cover of that one is just beautiful. For prompts, I used it for favorite genre because my 2 top genres are YA contemporary and sci-fi, so I was like, yeah. I used it for a different format because I read it on ebook, and I'm also marking off cozy reading time because I did that last night. So I still don't have any bingos from this bingo card, although if I would just watch somebody's sprints, then I would have it. Here's what it's looking like. So we're about to get to the prompts that like I'm going to have to be really strategic and specific about. So, like, even though I said I wasn't working for Blackout this time, now it's like the only options really are ones that I'm gonna have to think well about. We'll see about that. Even with how many letters were in the title and the author's name of this, G, P, and S were not all on this cover, so that's unfortunate. But other than that, I am halfway through Tell Me Your Mind and enjoying it. It's not necessarily a slow read, it's just slower than maybe I was anticipating it being, especially because what I'm finding in this week of reading whatever I want is that after my book Hangover, and maybe just in general, if I don't have a specific plan for what I want to read, I just don't want to read because making the decision is difficult sometimes. I'm definitely not going to finish it in this vlog because I'm going to end this vlog in a few hours because it's Friday, so I'll start my weekend vlog. But I wanted to tell you that I'm about to sit here and read the first few pages of Grace After Henry so that I can get last letter, first letter. Cia Martinez in the Moonlit Beginning of Everything ends with a G, and this starts with a G, so I'm just gonna read a few pages of this and then read whatever I want after that. Alright, it's Friday evening, approaching 7 p.m, and right before I had dinner, I had pizza and it was delicious. I finished reading Tell Me Your Mind, and I'm giving this 4 stars. It took me a few days to get into this, but I read the second half of it today, and I have to say the second half was wild. Like, if I had thought about it, I probably could have predicted some things that happened, but I just thought it unfolded nicely from the way it was. So I hauled this recently in one of my Dollar Tree hauls, but this is basically a book about this girl who starts going to therapy, and her therapist starts to believe that she's her long lost daughter, and it just kind of goes from there. And I don't want to tell you much more because that would spoil things, but I do have to say lots of interesting discussions about psychology and mental health and such in here, and I found it fascinating. I had a good time with this one. But that's going to end off this vlog so I can start my weekend reading vlog. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below which of the books that I finished this week seems most interesting to you, or have you read any of the books that I read this week? If so, what did you think of them? And subscribe for more reading, writing, and college lifestyle content. And until next time, bye humans, bye!